What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. I'm going to talk about the economic calendar, some data that's coming out for today, and also what's going on with the charts as we're seeing some new developments. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link that's down below, or sign up with my QR code that's right over here. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you're going to get $20 of free Nvda stock. Deposits $2,000 to get $50 worth of the stock. Deposit $10,000 to get $300 worth, and deposit $50,000 to get $1,000 of free Nvidia. You're also going to qualify for an 8.1% APY in uninvested cash. That includes a 4.1% APY base rate plus a 4% extra APY for 3 months. And the offer ends very soon, so check out my links down below to get some free Nvidia shares. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just want to mention that this is the trend on SPY. We're bullish because we got this big dip to 620. We saw a nice bounce. Then we dipped to 632. We bounced. You could also draw a trend line to mark where the support is going to likely be. We could dip a little bit. If we dip a bit, I'm going to be looking for a big push higher by the end of the week. We're going to see SPY dips for a day or two now because of some new news that's come out. But then once that happens, we could still bounce just like this. The chart remains bullish. If SPY starts to dump and we lose 633, then yes, this could be dumping a lot more. And that's going to be a sign that the market's from the top. But we haven't lost 633 yet, so we can't turn too bearish. All we can do is presume this trend is going to remain, and we keep making higher highs and higher lows. So watch and see if SPY makes a higher low again, close to about this 641 area, maybe a little bit lower. If it does dip a bit more, we could be going to like 638, as low as that, before we see a big bounce again. It's just a couple of points lower, and then the market will likely see a bounce. It's still bullish, at least for now, in terms of the trend. Today is Monday. Keep in mind that at 10 o'clock a.m., we have the new home sales data. And then at 10:30, we have the Dallas Fed manufacturing numbers. And at 11:30, we have the 3 and 6 month bill auctions, which could all cause some volatility. So be ready for that as time goes on. On top of this, for Monday, there's not really much data coming out for Monday. It's going to be kind of quiet. But on Tuesday, we have some bank earnings. And then on Wednesday, we have Nvidia's earnings alongside Snow and CrowdStrike, but I think Nvidia is going to be the most important. I do expect a lot of volatility after that. Finally, a couple of things to note is that with Jerome Powell, he did hint at a potential cut of interest rates, although he did imply we have to also look at the data just to be safe. Right now, there's about an 83% chance we get a cut. The market is still confident about that. Besides that, I'm not seeing anything else that's too crazy on the news, so keep that in mind, at least for now. So as far as the market's going, my overall, view of it is that we're still bullish. The trend is still bullish. The trend is your friend. And this is what I think the market will likely do. Even if we do come down just a little bit now, we're going to likely see a very, very big bounce. In my video yesterday, I mentioned that if we hold above 646, we're going to easily push for 650. We need to hold above 646. There's definitely a tough resistance here. We did reject here once, and we're struggling to break past it again. So this could dip a little bit. But like I said before, we could still get bought back up, and the trend remains bullish until it's not. Now, could we turn bearish in the future? We sure could, but I need to see us lose support. I need to see us break 633 on SPY, and we need to see a break of structure. There's no sign of that yet. There's no sign of us basically, dumping yet. So I wouldn't necessarily turn too bearish. We saw what happened last week when the market was showing some signs it was about to dip, only to get completely bought back up. So it's a very tricky market. Keep that in mind. Another thing to remember is that this is also the last week of August for trading. So, next week is going to be September. And with that coming up, there could also be a lot of manipulation, especially towards the end of this week. So you have to be ready just to be safe. So with that being said, how do I think this is going to go? For today, here are the levels to watch for. If you want to be a bull, we need to see SPY basically get bought back up and get back above 646. If that breaks, we're looking for a breakout for 650. But we have to hold 646 for at least 4 hours. If we reject, there could be a test of the 642s. We need to hold that. If we don't, we could be dipping towards like 640. But then we have this trend line acting as support. And even if we dip to like 638 to 640, then we could just get bought back up and ride this trend line right back up towards the end of this week. Once again, seeing a very, very nice bounce. So watch 642. If that fails, we're dipping to 640. If we break 646, we're going to be a lot more bullish. That's our range for now. And this is once again going to be favoring upside overall. So we'll see how low we go before we see another potential bounce. We need to take out last week's low to turn more bearish. If we don't, do be ready for some kind of bounce move. That's what we're going to likely expect. So could the market dip a bit more? Yes. Look at 642. If it fails, we're dipping a bit more on SPY. But then we're looking for a bounce once we hit this trend line of support. The same thing could be said about the triple Q. So as far as the QQQ goes, we have this support right here. You could take this trend line from here and kind of like draw it out. From the way I see things, okay, SPY is once again on a bit of a, sorry, not SPY. The QQQ is dipping just a little bit as well. If we hold above 573, we're looking for a breakout for 576, and that will come eventually. But we're looking for a small dip towards 568. If it doesn't hold, I could be looking for like 566 to 565, and then we're going to see if we ride this trend line up and start bouncing a lot higher. So keep that in mind. We're doing a good job so far, but overall, we're trying to hold this support. Could we dip a bit more? Yeah, we could be retesting 568 to 566, but then I'm going to be looking for a bounce afterwards, which is why we have like more of a bullish view, at least right now. The IWM's inverse head and shoulders would actually take it to the 240s. If you look at this like this on the 4-hour time frame, see how this looks like an inverse head and shoulders, and the top is going to be around 245. It is possible we continue to uptrend as long as we don't end up losing the lows of last week. We got a massive bounce. I'm going to be looking at these key levels like right over here. One thing I noticed is that our 0.382 fib level aligns with this resistance becoming support. So I wouldn't be surprised if we, come down a little bit, if we end up retesting essentially 231 to 232, and then we're going to see if we get a nice bounce after that. That's going to be very key for the way at which we end up moving. As far as ES goes, we're looking bullish in terms of the trend, but this could be coming down just a little bit. We could be dipping back down towards 64.40. We were supposed to break past 6,500 to remain bullish. Might be coming down first just a bit before it gets bought back up. So we could be looking for a move like this. If we take out yesterday's or last week's low, this could be dumping a lot more. But as of right now, we haven't really done that. So it is still favoring some kind of balance move. Like I said, you need to take out this low to be bearish, but we're not really favoring that. For now, we're still favoring new highs to be made later on during the week. For NQ, the same thing is going on. We need to essentially lose 23,300 to dump more. As long as we're above this, we could be looking for a bounce to 23,800. For Bitcoin, we're dipping here. We're going to see if we could hold 110,000. Might dip a bit towards that before it tries to bounce. Unfortunately, we are dipping right now, especially because of some new news that came out. Tesla's looking bullish. We're trying to break out of this bull flag. We're favoring a push to the 350 soon, but we'll see if this retests 338 to 335 first before it starts to break out, then push for 350, then 367 after that. I think Tesla looks bullish, but we'll see if it comes down a bit first, a couple of points before it tries to bounce. Sometimes we like to see liquidity grabs. Nvda has earnings on Wednesday. We're going to see if this comes down a bit for like 175 before it tries to bounce as well. Could be retesting 175 or so, and then it's going to try to break out for the 180s. For Appl, we also have kind of like a head and shoulders right here. Basically, I'd be very careful with this. This kind of resembles a left shoulder, a head, maybe a right shoulder, but I need to see us break 230 to break out higher to be bullish, and we have to essentially lose 225 to start dipping to like 222 or below. So we're still technically range bound. Will we lose 225 to be weaker, or do we end up breaking past 230 and bounce? It could go either way, but hopefully we try to balance right here. For AMD, we're actually making lower highs. This might be dipping back down to like 162, and we'll see if buyers defend here. There's most definitely potential for us to do this. For Coinbase, I want to see how this ends up reacting. We're kind of range bound right here. If we hold 311, we could be looking for a rebound to fill this gap above. But if we don't, we're looking for a move back down to 300. But then it could still bounce and once again push back higher. Either way, I do see that gap getting filled. Amazon's holding up well. We're going to see if this makes a higher low. Could retest 225 or so. Then we'll see if buyers defend. Same thing with Meta. We're still bullish. We're making higher lows. I want to see us essentially break past the resistance right here at 757 to break out higher. Might dip a little bit before it tries to rebound, but Meta has potential to bounce. Google looks bullish, favoring the 210s, and Microsoft is going to likely retest 502 to 500. We'll see if we bounce. The VIX also has a gap to fill below. We're going to see if the VIX basically pumps a little bit before it comes back down, but I do think it's going to be coming back down, which makes me suspect the market's going to bounce. Let's see how low SPY goes. We might be dipping a little bit more, but then whether we dip a little bit more or not, this is going to likely try to bounce soon. So watch and see where we form some kind of bottom. The trend does look more bullish for now, so we favor the trend. The trend is your friend. So play the trend and do what you have to do, guys. Thank you all so much for listening, and peace out.